Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hope you're all having a great day. Waking up to plenty of presents under the tree from Santa Claus. And smiles all around. Smiles all around. Some might think, hey, today's not a good day to make a video, but it's almost 6 a.m. over here. Slept in a bit. So, why not? Why not? Checking out the fishies. We've had some dynamics going on in the tank, as you can see over here. Now this white one, I'm really starting to think it's a male because it wants nothing more than for the snakeskin female to accept him. Now he's too young, but from a size perspective, I guess he's not. So, but he is intently interested in this snakeskin female, which was just over in the tank and just had babies. And I brought them back. The tank dynamics changed because I've sent away one of my dominant males and one of my dominant females. They're gone. So the number 2 spot emptied, and then I put this pair back in the tank. So what happened was I took this pair out of the tank. They started having babies. Hi, Greg. 1 second. I had to pet him or he wouldn't shut up. Okay. So first I moved away the pair into the breeders. They started having babies. They had 2 broods. Both failed. And I put them back. But before I put them back, I had also sent away the other pair. So 2 pairs left the tank. And everything was fine after they left. But when I brought this pair back, basically what's going on right now is Big Red is a female, and Big Red wants to steal the boy. And the white one, I believe, is a male. Might be a female. I think it's a male. And it wants to steal the female. So the white one and Big Red have been working together to separate this pair. And they're, I think, successful at it today because the male is staying away from her. He's just fed up. And it's the other fish seem to be helping this happen. It's very, very almost coordinated. So Big Red will keep the pressure up on the female, stay away from him. And the white one will keep the pressure up on the male and keep him away from her. And this has been going on for 2 days. You see? Get away from him. Now she's going to come over. Nope, you're not allowed to be with him. And she's going to run him away. And then Big Red will go back over near the male and wiggle for him and tell him, nope, you're mine. And then he's coming over to the snakeskin and he's dancing, saying, hey, baby, how about me? See? They're literally force pairing themselves. They're literally force pairing themselves. So I don't think he's old enough. And I think today we're going to take Big Red, although I don't like the 20 gallons and they haven't worked out for me. It could just be working out because the parenting isn't there. Maybe this female isn't a good enough mom. I'm going to take Big Red and that male. I'm going to pop them in a 20 gallon today. I'm going to see what happens. He's still very much interested in the snakeskin female. I guess she's probably the hottest girl in the tank or something. And he's the hottest boy in the tank. But I'm going to take him out. I'm going to separate them. And I'm going to put him in with Big Red. And I'm going to let Big Red have her day. I think our buddy right here, he has to learn there's nothing wrong with redheads. They can be interesting mates as well. Trust you me. I mean, some of them are horrible. Some of them are not. So, but Big Red's a nice big female. And she's a little stunted over here. You can see the size difference. She was one of my earliest fish, and I bought her as coin-sized fish, so I made mistakes. She's not as big as she should be. She never will be as big as she should be, because I was learning. But as you can see with my newer ones, they're all huge. And because I figured out my mistakes, and all the rest of my fish will now grow properly when I bring them home. The fish I screwed up would be this one, her. Who else? A little bit on the blue one, but I started to figure things out a little better when he came along. There was UV in play, and he's doing pretty good. He's still not as big as he could be. And yeah, so this one, that male actually did really good, but he could have been bigger. He could have been bigger. The rest of them will all grow properly. Would I point out like 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. I stunted 4 of these fish because they were my first fish, and that's what's going to happen. And that happens to a lot of people. You end up with these 4 and 5 inch fish when you should have like 9 to 12 inch fish. So, but that's discus keeping. You got to learn. And what did it? What did it? I thought I had good water quality, but I didn't. And that's the mistake everyone makes. People are like, why are my fish dying? It's bacteria. These fish die because of bacteria. That's why you can't test for it. That's why you won't find any parasites. That's why you won't understand why they just suddenly died. They don't really suddenly die. They waste away. That discus wasting disease, you'll see it. You go from video to video, and you'll see a completely healthy tank full of discus, and there'll be 1 or 2 that are just wasting away. And what's killing those 1 or 2 is bacteria in your water. They're just weak and vulnerable to it, and it's a gene that floats around in these fish, and some of them have it, and others don't. And that's it. That's why it's a mystery. It's nothing anybody's done wrong. People beat themselves up, and like I had one guy yesterday say, I'll never buy these fish again because it was just a bad experience for him. But that's the reason. It's a genetic vulnerability. It's not anyone's fault. Shouldn't blame yourself. Basically, it's happening to every discus keeper out there, and it's the reason why there's a, bare bottom tank. Keep it like a bubble boy tank, and keep them all clean and everything else. It's because those people, they don't realize what they're trying to combat, but they're combating free-floating bacteria in their water column that will kill a percentage of their fish that end up with the bad gene, with the weakness to bacteria gene. I don't know what to call it. That's what I will call it. That's what it is. Is what it is. I mean, I'd have to be a super scientist to narrow it down. I'd love to figure out which bacteria it is. It's probably more than one, and they're just vulnerable to that. I think it affects their gills in a way that just kills them. It stresses them out. It causes them pain. Then they don't eat right. They wither away. It doesn't kill them quickly. It's actually killing them very slowly, and it's probably painful. That being said, most of the fish that I had that were affected by it were not holding gills, but I did see it once or twice. So it's not like flukes painful, where they're just absolutely holding one gill and using the other and laboring. But I believe it's deteriorating their gills, and it's bacteria, and it's only going to happen to fish A, and then fish B and C will be fine because they don't have the gene. And you'll be scratching your head, why did that happen? And that's the thing that's killed my fish. Like, I would have doubled the population I do right now if I had figured that out sooner. That's the reason why people are saying you can't have a planted tank, because Planted tanks increase bacterial loads. It's just the way it goes. That's why they try and say you shouldn't have any gravels or substrate, because without realizing it, they're trying to combat that bacteria, and it's going to get in there anyway, even if you got a bare bottom tank, because it doesn't need this bacteria. Will just live in your column, and it'll live off the waste of your fish. It's probably coming in with foods. When we keep Discus, we feed a lot of frozen live foods, and that's easily, bacteria does not die in the freezer, so it'll come in on your beef heart, it'll come in on your bloodworms, it'll come in on your brine shrimp, and so on. It could potentially even come in on your freeze-dried foods quite easily. Bacteria is very resilient to being dried out and coming back again when moisture is reintroduced. So there's no escaping the bacteria. You just have to fight it, and you have to fight it the most effective way. A lot of people in a bare bottom tank, if you notice that you're having these problems, well, then you can medicate that tank and kill the bacteria off that way. And that's basically what the whole world's doing. But now you can spend $20 on a UV bulb that will last 10,000 hours and is strong enough to clear a pond, an outdoor pond. And you can set it up in a way that won't blind you very carefully, because you should do your research on those things. They're dangerous. They're dangerous to you, and they're dangerous to your fish. There can't be any direct line of sight. If I popped that bulb in this tank and turned it on, all my fish would be dead in an hour. It would kill them dead, just like it kills the bacteria dead. So it has to be somewhere separated or shielded, and that's how you keep your water column pure. That's it. We can't constantly be dropping meds in the tank. That kills the fish too. Trust me, I've tried medicating my way out of this, and you can't. Once that bacteria gets into your fish room, you're going to be sharing equipment from tank to tank. We'd all love to have a separate hose for every tank we have, but none of us do that. Okay, so now this bacteria is going to jump from your tanks to your tanks to your tanks. It's going to be all over the place. And unless you starve it out, medicate it to death, or kill it with UV, it will hang out for as long as there's food available in any given tank that you're running. So this bacteria could show up anytime in your tanks. If you've been running a tank for a year to 2 years, it's there. And then, all your fish are doing great. Okay, let's move my fish from tank A into bigger tank B, because I want to make tank A a Discus tank. It's 2 years old, it's established. Well, guess what? It's got bacteria in it that will kill your fish. This is why I've learned about UV, and I keep stressing it. It is really such a valuable tool. I think it is for all fish keepers. Since I started running 13 watts and above and in nickel metal halide bulb, this one down here, all my problems went away. I have spent over the course of the last 2 years like anywhere from $500 to $1,000 on meds alone. I have lost anywhere from $500 to $1,000 in fish, and that's what I spent, not what they were worth when they died. If I calculated it, because a lot of them were full grown, like this last spring, this last summer, I lost 4 full grown out stinker Discus. You know how expensive those fish are? They're rare. You can't get them anymore. They were adults, $500 a pop for adults before they were rare and you couldn't get them anymore. And, it was very disheartening, but I can't say I tried every med in the world, because I live in Canada and we are now restricted. We can only buy a handful of meds, but I tried them all. None of them were good enough. None of them could clear it out of my tank. I could take the fish that were affected, put them in a bare bottom clean tank, treat them, get rid of the problem, make them healthy, bring them back to the main tank. Boom, a week and a half, 2 weeks later, problem returns. Same fish. Well, everyone else in the tank was never affected by it. That confused the hell out of anyone. And it's bacteria. Bacteria is why every time you try discus, they die. It's bacteria in your water column. What you got to do is run UV 24/7. 24/7, not this 4-hour day crap. You buy a cheap UV so you can afford to run it 24/7. You run it 24/7. It will never harm your tank as long as you're shielding it, or there's no direct line of sight. And because all of your free floating bacteria gets destroyed and killed, all the resources that float in your water for bacteria to eat are freed up for beneficial bacteria. So you end up with the best beneficial bacteria load you've ever known in all of your life. If you've never run UV, you will have the most stable cycle you have ever seen if you run it consistently 24/7. Because there's no competition for the bacteria you want. We've eliminated it. Okay? You can't do that with meds. The meds will kill your beneficial bacteria too. You can't medicate your way out of this problem. You have to clean your way out of this problem. You can't water change your way out of this problem because the bacteria in question replicates in minutes, sometimes even seconds. So 2 hours after your water change, the problem is back, and it's back in full force, and you've done nothing to address it. So you can't water change your way out of it. You can't medicate your way out of it. You have to UV your way out of it, or reset your tank. But guess what? It's probably going to come in on your equipment or the food you keep buying. So I still see old school guys out there. They just don't use it. And that's just part of the human condition. We do not want to accept change. I'm old school. I don't want to accept change either. But I was forced to. And I'm happy I did. Because now I have no problems. Keeping these fish is as easy as keeping really anything else. Other than the fact I got to probably do water changes twice a week instead of once a week. I could probably do them once a week now, to be honest. Like, I'm there. I did a water change yesterday on this tank. It was like 5 days old, and it was beautiful. I could have waited a week, but I just don't want to, because I got myself into this 3-4 day routine, and I just think it works for them. Twice a week is where it's at for discus. And you can overstock the hell out of them and still do it twice a week. And they enjoy being overstocked. Other than the little bit of drama I've had the last couple days, it's actually calming down now because, you see, he pushes the male away. So I think he's a male. He pushes the male away. She pushes the female away. She wants the male. The white one wants the female. The white one's one of the youngest fish in my tank, but he's growing like a bad weed, and he's starting to act like an adult. My growth rates are off the frickin' charts now. Like, just look at all my new fish. Like, new fish growing fast. Like, I buy my fish at 3 inches. New fish growing fast. Last couple of months. Only a couple months of growth here. Same with this guy. Look, came in at 3 inch. He's almost as big as the adults. Not even 2 months. Newest fish, month old. Been here a month. Came in at 3 inch. Maybe a month behind this fish. You almost can't tell. And all these new fish I just pointed at you will be bigger than Big Red or bigger than anyone when they're done, because this tank's perfect now. When they showed up, there was no more problems. Nothing to slow them down. Absolutely pure, clean water. And I'm not changing it every day, and they're still growing like bad weeds. So, I can't drive the point home enough. You can still have these fish and have an easy time. You just need
one more piece of equipment, and maybe a couple more filters for good measure. That's it. They're not hard to keep. You just got to gear properly. It took me 1.5 years to figure out the gear. So feel free to ask me any questions. Do not be afraid of these fish. Yes, you can have a bad experience, but I'm telling you right now, it's all because of free-floating bacteria. If you want these fish, and you can come up with a strategy that will keep your water column free-floating bacteria clean and pure, like I have, you'll win the discus game. It'll be easy for you. It'll be easy for you. I did all the suffering. Just watch my videos, watch how I suffered. I did it all for you. $20 bulb, and you can do this with ease. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. And if any of you has got discus for Christmas, congratulations. We will catch you on the next one.